Hold on a second. Am I the only one who is confused by this? A bathtub was reportedly gifted to Censor's villa, a home, a place where bathtub actually belongs. So, somebody explain to me why we are now looking at that bathtub sitting beside a river. Seriously? What was thought process here? Because the more I look at this, the more questions I have. Who is maintaining it? Who is cleaning it? What's the long-term plan? Is this supposed to be a public bathing spot, a tourist attraction, a content creation project, or was it a perfectly good villa bathtub just turned into a Riverside experiment? Now, before anybody start typing angry comment, this isn't about attacking anyone. This is not about hate. It is not even about whether that idea looks interesting, because I will admit it is definitely unusual. It is definitely gets attention, but attention practically are not the same thing. Today, I'm going to spend this time breaking down what might be one of the most confusing decisions I have ever seen for a long time. We are going to talk about the gift, the villa, the river, the maintenance issue, this sanitation question, and why I think people are focusing on the wrong path of this story, because the bathtub isn't actually the biggest issue here. The decision making is. At the end of this video, we are going to learn about something else, because we have to understand why this image raises far more questions than answers. Let us look at this. Just look at it, a bathtub beside a river. Let us begin.
We need to come and pour for it water. It's very, very nice. See? Very, very nice. So you don't, the view of this is from this side. If you're taking pictures, you always have to take pictures from this side. Here. You see? Hey, I'm here to bring my sister here. I'm here to bring my sister here. She can enjoy. So we'll clean and we'll be covering it. I need to get a very special bag just to cover it. So like right now, this needs to be cleaned, washed even with soap.
After watching that clip, it is now time to dive deep to the entire conversation. A very good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to this amazing YouTube channel that goes by the name Maxwell Lumumba Africa. For those who are coming across this YouTube channel for the first time, I do reaction videos, especially to the videos that are posted in public domain. Like today, I'm going to discuss about how a gifted bathtub found itself near the river. So for those who are not subscribed to this amazing YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and share this video to other individuals. Remember to turn on the notification bell so that any day, anytime I post any video, you people get notified. Watch my videos from the beginning up to the end without skipping those ads that you see there. Let us show love to this YouTube channel. Let us continue supporting my YouTube channel. And having said that, today we have got a serious situation that honestly left me scratching my head. Now, before anybody gets upset, before anybody starts saying I'm hating, before anybody starts saying I'm being negative, let me make something very clear from the beginning. I'm not criticizing creativity. I'm not criticizing people who are trying to improve their environment. And I am definitely not criticizing people for working with what they have. What I am looking at today, it is a decision, a specific decision that was made, and the question we are going to explore is whether that decision actually makes sense in a long run, because sometimes something can look exciting on camera, Sometimes something can make for a great thumbnail. Sometimes something can get themselves talking online, but when you stop, think about it, and ask practical questions, you realize there may some issues nobody is discussing about that. Now, from what we are seeing here, there appears to be a bathtub positioned outdoors near a stream or a river. One person is proudly presenting it, another person is standing nearby it, because at the end of the day, one is seeing a project being made, the other individual has got the contract to make that project. Everybody seems excited, everybody seems very happy, and that's great. But excitement and practically are not always the same thing. Today, we are going to take our time, we are going to break down carefully, we are going to look at hygiene, we are going to look at the maintenance, we are going to look at sustainability, we are going to look at the impact of what they are doing to the entire community, that is the villagers. We are going to look whether the actual adds value, and we are going to ask some questions that I think a lot of viewers are already asking, because when I first saw this image, my immediate reaction wasn't wow, that's so amazing. My immediate reaction was, okay, but who is cleaning it? And that's where we are going to start from. Let us look carefully at what we are actually seeing. The first thing that stands out is obvious: the bathtub. A full-size bathtub, not inside a bathroom, not inside a building, not connected to plumbing, not connected to water system. It is sitting outside next to a natural waterway. Now visually, I understand why this gets attention. It is unusual, it is unexpected, it is the kind of thing that makes people click on a video. You see a bathtub beside the river, immediately you want to know what's going on. So from a content perspective, I understand they appeal, but then my brain immediately start asking practical question, because after the camera is turned off, reality begins. The thumbnail is over, the video we have watched, it is over, the excitement is over, the comment are over, and then what? Because I've already seen people that call themselves positive, they are actually congratulating what is being made. That always there, and that is always my question: what happens after the video? What happens next month? What happens next 6 months later? What happens a year later? A lot of people or a lot of projects look impressive on day one. Day one is easy, everybody is motivated, everybody is excited, everybody wants to help, everybody. The real test is day 100. The real test is after 1 year, that is 365 days. Can the project still function? Can it be maintained? Can it be very useful? So those are questions that determine whether something is genuinely valuable, and that is what I am interested in. Let us look at the bathtub itself, because bathtub isn't just a decoration. A bathtub has a purpose. Its purpose is to provide a clean and comfortable bathing environment. Not the word clean, that's important. When most people think about a bathtub, they imagine several things: clean water, a controlled environment, a drainage system, regular cleaning, protection from dirt, and contamination. Those things are normal, part of bathtub experiment. But when you move that bathtub outdoors besides a river, you are completely changing its environment. Now you introducing mud, you are introducing insects, you are introducing leaves, you are introducing algae, you are introducing harsh weather pattern. Look at it. Direct sun rays from the sun. You are introducing all sorts of things that were not part of the original design, and immediately that creates the challenge. For example, imagine heavy rainfall. What happens? Imagine flooding. What happens? Imagine someone using soap. Where does wastewater goes? Imagine children climbing in and out. What happens then? They are not criticism. They are practical question, because every project has consequences. Every project creates responsibility, and those unusual the project is, the more important those responsibilities they're becoming. And now we are getting to think, and I think the biggest issue, maintenance. I cannot stress this enough. Maintenance, it's what separates successful project from failed project. We have seen a lot of projects being initiated. At the end of the day, they collapse because of poor management, poor maintenance. And I've seen beautiful parks become abandoned. I have seen community facilities becoming unusable. I've seen expensive equipments becoming worthless. And it wasn't because they were bad ideas. It was because nobody maintained them. Maintenance is boring. Maintenance doesn't give views. Maintenance doesn't get appraisal. Maintenance does not get celebrated, but maintenance is everything. So let me ask a very simple question. Who is cleaning this bathtub every day, every week, every month? Who is responsible? Because if everybody is responsible, usually nobody is responsible. Somebody has to be on the task. Somebody has to inspect it. Somebody has to clean it. Somebody has to repair it. Somebody has to make sure it remains safe. Otherwise, what starts as a fun attraction can become a eyesore very quickly. And this is where many projects really fail. Projects focus on installation. They don't focus on maintenance. They focus on exciting beginning. They don't focus on ordinary reality that follows thereafter. Sometimes people mistake novelty for improvement. Just because something is unusually does not mean it is useful. Just because something attracts attention does not mean it solves a problem. And that is the important distinction. When I look at this setup, I'm asking, what problem is being solved? Is the goal recreation? Is the goal tourism? Is the goal content creation? Is the goal community improvement? Because depending on the answer, the project should be evaluated differently. Is it simple, a fun experiment? Then okay, let us call it what it is, fun experiment. But if it is being presented as a long-term solution for a meaningful community asset, then the standard become higher. Because we have seen the villa before. A lot of people, I inclusive, have really rebuked how the villa is unfinished. And when somebody comes in and gives you a gift like this just to complete some of the projects that have been stagnant, Then you take advantage, you present this thing that you have been sent to something else. So these create something very different. So ladies and gentlemen, then we have to ask harder questions. Questions about sustainability, questions about hygiene, questions about management, questions about responsibility, and those questions matters because eventually excitement fades, the camera leaves, the views move on, the internet finds something else to talk about. Even though I know very well this video, I've posted it late, but I'm not here to look for views or what. I'm here to tell us what is being done. It is totally unhygienic. It is totally against the community empowerment and sanitation level, and that is it. But the bathtub remains, and when these happen, really or reality takes over. That's why I don't judge project based on what or how they look in one day. I judge them based on whether they still make sense after excitement is gone. And so far, that's the question I'm struggling with now. Not whether it looks interesting, now whether it looks creativity, not whether it is practical, but because practical ideas survive it all. And at the end, we are going to say other things. And let me say this, the bathtub itself is one thing, but the bigger question is this: was it originally purpose of that bathtub? Because context matter a lot. If somebody specifically gifted the thumbnail to a villa project, they were dealing with something very different than if somebody simply found an old bathtub lying around, decided to repurpose it. Those are two completely different conversations. When somebody gift a support or a project, they are usually giving that item because they believe it will contribute to the original version. They are looking at the project and saying, this will help, this will belong here, this adds value. Now imagine being that person. You spent your money, you source the item, you transport it, you present it as a contribution, and then one day you discover that the item is sitting besides a river. It is not saying that automatically wrong, but I am saying it raises legitimate questions because gifts come with experience, not legal obligations, not ownership, not expectation. The donor probably, with this calling, the donor probably imagine a bathtub being installed in a bathroom, not because or not becoming an outdoor attraction, not becoming a social media spectacle, not becoming something completely different from its intended use. And that is where this conversation gets more interesting. And one thing people often forget is the concept of opportunity cost. Every decision makes or means not choosing something else. That is how life works. If I spend $100 on one thing, that's $100 I can't spend it somewhere else. If I use material for one project, those materials cannot simultaneously be used to another project. The same principle applies here. Let us assume that the bathtub could have been installed in a finished villa bathroom. What value would that have created? Potentially comfort, functional, property improvement, guest experience, long-term utility. Now compare that to an outdoor Riverside installation. What option creates more lasting value? That is not an easy question. Different people will answer differently, but a question worth asking, because resources are limited, especially in development projects, especially in a rural project, especially when every item has to be transported, installed, and maintained. Whenever resources are limited, prioritization becomes important. And I think viewers have to ask whether these were the best use of that particular resource or it went for a mess. The difference between content creation and development, and that these are always the same thing. Sometimes development and creation, they overlap beautiful. A project gets built, people benefit, the audience enjoy watching, everybody wins. But every time's content initiatives are practical and initiative begin moving in different direction, content rewards actually what we call novelty, and content reward surprise. And that tells us something else. Content reward things that stand out. Development rewards functionality, development rewards efficiency, development rewards sustainability, development rewards a lot of things. So do you see the difference between a project and development? A bathtub inside a bathroom is practical. A bathtub beside the river is surprising. One may be more useful, the other one may be more interesting on camera. And this is where creators have they have to be very careful, because audience often confuse attention with impact. Just because sometimes or some things gets attention does not automatically mean it creates this most value. I'm not saying that this is what is happening here. I'm saying it's a question worth considering, because every creator eventually faces this challenge. Do I prioritize what is looking exciting, or I prioritize what is working best? So the strongest project usually manages to do both. The weakest project often sacrifice practically in exchange of spectacle. And let us give us a reality check. Not after the launch, not after the celebration, 1 year later. What do we see? That's the test, the real test. Is it a bathtub still there? Is it still clean? Is it still functional? Is it still used? Is it cracked? Like today, I got a phone call that a snake has been found in that bathtub. Let us ask ourselves a lot of questions. Has it become an animal sanctuary? Has it become a comfort place where other organisms are being reared there? Is it filled with debris? So the surrounded area has eroded, just in case. Those questions matters, because nature is not relentless. Nature does not care about good intention. Nature does not care about social media. Nature does not care about excitement. Nature does not care about anything. It is constantly working. There is rain, sunlight, mud, insect, vegetation, flooding. Like now, you see even snakes. So everything changes over time. And if a project designed with a reality in the mind, the environment eventually wins. So that is not pessimism, that is maintenance reality. Every outdoor structure fights a constant battle against deterioration. The question is whether the people will be responsible and prepared for that battle. One thing I've noticed online, that is often divide themselves into two groups. Group 1 says, this is amazing. Group 2 says, this is ridiculous. Personally, I think both reaction can miss the point, because the truth is usually more complicated. Something can be creative and impractically at some time something can be entertaining and questionable at some time. Somebody can have a good intention and still raise concern. Those things are not mutually exclusive. That is why I'm trying to say and stay focused. It is the entire decision making process, not personalities, not emotion, not fan loyalty, not criticism for the sake of criticism. So the decision itself, what was the goal? And that is the reality about the entire discussion, the entire premise. And I've asked about the cleaning. Who is going to clean it? So because that is not something that you will do it within one day. Bring in the mosquito question, because at the end of the day, that place because of standing water. Anyone who live in tropical environment knows exactly what is about. Mosquitoes love opportunities. They need much attention. They need luxury accommodation. They don't need expensive infrastructure. They just need condition. That's it. That is why even the snake itself has found a natural harbor where it can just stay there. And that is the true for houses. That is true for everything that is happening. So I've talked about sanitation, I've talked about different things, and I want to talk about the difference between idea and a plan later, because I think we have reached the heart of the issue. And the heart of the issue is not about the bathtub. The bathtub is just a symbol. What we are really discussing, the difference between an idea and a plan. A lot of people may have ideas. Ideas are easy. Ideas happens every day. You wake up tomorrow morning and come up with 10,000 ideas before breakfast. But plans are different. Plans require structure. Plans requires foresight. Plans require asking uncomfortable questions. A good plan asks, what happens if this works? What happens if this falls? What happens next? So nobody maintains it. What happens if demand increases? What happens if weather changes? What happens if it becomes necessary? So the question don't bring creativity down, it protects creativity, because without planning, every good idea becomes liability. And that is what we are really saying there, and that is what is taking shape. So I want to go depending on the donor's perspective, because I think that is important. Imagine you are the person who provided that bathtub. Imagine you genuinely wanted to contribute to the villa project. You saw a need, you provided a resource, you believe you are helping. Then one day you see a bathtub beside a river. How do you feel? Maybe you are delighted, maybe you think it is creativity, maybe you love the idea. That's possible. That is also possible. You wonder why the original purpose changed, and that is the fair question, because whenever people contribute resources, trust becomes involved. They trust that those resources will be used wisely. Again, that does not mean that the recipient loses control. A gift is a gift. The recipient ultimately decides, but perception still matters, because the future support often depends on confidence. People like supporting projects. They believe they are well managed. If that bathtub is going to be managed properly, so that tells that everything will be taking shape the way the person who did that, and did that to the extent that it was very needful. And at the end of the day, would that project benefited? Who actually benefits from that project? Because every development project should eventually answer that question. Who is better off? How are they better off? After how long? Those are simple questions, but they are powerful questions because resources are limited, time is limited, money is limited, energy is limited. Every project requires sacrifice somewhere. And if the bathtub remains beside the river, who is going to benefit? Is it the local residents? Is it visitors, content creators, tourists? If it is nobody, because there is difference between something being interesting and something being beneficial, and mature project planning recognize that difference, and that is the reality. So these tells there is difference between a feature and a gimmick, and the difference between these two is this: a feature continues creating value, a gimmick creates temporary excitement. So that is the distinction. So a feature solves a problem, a gimmick attracts attention. A feature becomes more valuable over time, a gimmick often becomes less valuable over time. Think about it. If somebody visits the location once and says, wow, that's unusual, then what? What happens in the second visit, the third visit, the 10th visit? Does the value remain, or does it disappear? So, because novelty has a limited lifespan, the first time you see something unusual, it is exciting. The second time, less exciting. The third time, even less. Eventually, people stop noticing, and that is what is going to happen about all these projects that we are going to see here. And let me handle the issue that I know a lot of people have been waiting about, the issue of a snake being found in the bathtub or the bathtub, because a lot have been said, a lot of discussion I know they are going to happen, and at the end of the day, the biggest question will be, how did a snake end to that bathtub? This is not rumors, this is the reality, and this is the question that needs to be asked, because at the end of the day, is it now coming to become a normal flora for that environment? Because we know even the snakes themselves need sustainability. The snake themselves, they come from water, because you can see water snake, they just come from the water. Then when they are exploring, they get a different environment of water. So there is a possibility that happens. I'm not saying that somebody placed it there, I'm not saying that this has been sent by somebody, but I'm saying that this is something that needs to be seen, and this is something that should be considered when they're making these decisions. So that tells us that this will be the end of the discussion of today. Let us meet in the next discussion. Goodbye for now. Let us stay tuned. Goodbye.